and welcome to episode 102 of I'm Fine. Insert water break here, it says, Mark. So, what we said...
and to everybody else
and to everybody listening.
Okay.
Have a sip of your water. Mark's got it in a child-proof beaker. I don't know what it is. What is it? A tippy, yeah. Cheers. Oh, that's delicious.
You haven't got bright blue water like me, though, have you?
No, what's in it?
Creatine.
Right. Don't many be in there.
That's why God doesn't want you to be a vegan.
Go on.
If you're doing... Because you only get creatine in meat. You don't get it in plants. Although it is quite ironic that the water bottle I've got says my vegan.
Yeah, it does, yeah. God.
I don't care.
You're just an enigma, aren't you?
Yeah, it keeps them guessing.
Yeah. This is a chat around the subjects of health, wealth and well-being with myself, Damo, and someone who no longer has a roof above their head because it blew away. Mark, is it okay to leave in or not?
Yeah, I was thinking.
You should text me that.
I was thinking this might be an episode. Should we save it for an episode?
What
you're alluding to?
I can't now. Well, that's
yeah, but it's not
so
going to take
random, isn't it?
Yeah, but I could.
So your house has blown away, hasn't it?
My house blew away, and there was no wolf involved.
Yeah.
Bloody sticks.
So you don't want to talk about it now?
I think there's a lot to unpack, and I
don't know. Really?
Just a sleeping bag and a pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way
and a stove.
I love the way that. What time did I send that? Quite late, wasn't it?
I didn't look.
Yeah. I just thought it'd been stolen by gypsies. My house.
Were you in it?
No.
At the time.
No. It blew away.
So you came back to the campsite and your tent had gone.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
And
do you not peg it down? Oh, I forgot who I'm speaking to. I'm sorry. Of course you didn't peg it down.
I pegged it down.
Yeah, with one peg.
Maybe I didn't, as it was pointed out to me afterwards by the person who recovered it from a tree, was that the guy ropes were still tied up, as in...
What, still on the deck?
No. Still...
as in you didn't get the guy ropes out?
They've never been undone.
You've never tethered your tent?
To the floor? No.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I do tether it, but it's...
to be fair, you've gone... It just shows about how good the weather's been. You've gone that long, right?
Yeah. I sort of tether it. I think it's held down by paper clips.
Just goodwill.
Yeah. I love the way that I texted you and got no reply.
A pot kettle black. Do you know what I mean?
I got PPT. I'm allowed to do
that. Don't play that card. I've got people going...
I've got mental health problems. Don't trigger me.
You're fine. I've got people going, is Mark all right? I haven't heard from him in ages. I went, yeah, it's fine. Why? Not text you? No. How long did I leave it before I responded?
You didn't respond.
Did I not? What, to your tent?
Not like I used to. I don't respond to text because I'm an ignorant fucker. But
I said as in like proper, that's what I did reply.
What, not like, are you all right? Are you dead? Have you blown away?
Well, I did think...
Did you end up in the lake?
You're not like wafer thin, are you? You don't weigh... You're like as much as a fag paper. You're not going to blow away with your tent, are you?
No.
So you clearly wouldn't have been in it.
Okay.
A hell of a storm if you'd have gone with it at night time.
It'd been like Up, wouldn't it? That could be in Disney. Up 2. A load of middle-aged men in small pop-up tents go into the stratosphere.
Also, you said it ended up in a tree.
Well,
I'm surprised you didn't just go up the tree and get in it. Just go to sleep.
Tree house.
Yeah.
I don't think it went up to a tree. That just sounded good.
Oh, right.
It got rescued. It
basically at the end of the field, wasn't it?
I don't know. No, it went a long way. It went so far that the person who found it thought it was a discarded tent. I think it literally made it to the woods.
Right. And how much did you pay for this tent? Just
$29.99.
$29.99.
Yeah.
God, no expense spared there. You can literally have one a night for that, can you? Do you know what I mean? Man of your means.
Throwaway tent.
Yeah.
New house every day. New house, new start.
Yeah. So you didn't get it. So it's okay, is it? Is it now tethered?
I put it in the back of the car now.
You're going to sleep in there, are you?
No, yeah, put the tent up in the car. No, it's just like if I'd left it out today, I don't want to lose it again.
No.
And I'm going, fuckers. They nicked who?
Standing there with your hands on your hips going...
Outraged.
Yeah.
This is what society's come to.
Yeah.
Some thieving,
Gypsies a minute ago, you just said, Mark. I'm not taking that out.
They went
I'm just giving everyone exactly the kind of person you are.
No, I just thought it was like your local youth. But no, it was Mother Nature
Right.
rather than rampant teenagers.
Right.
But I still felt my first.
Violated.
I actually texted the manager and basically like
The manager
of the campsite
right
at like at 11 o'clock at night. My tent's been stolen. I need this sorted immediately.
What do you think he's gonna do? Don't you sign a waiver saying you camp here at your own risk?
I do that, but he owes me one for me taking on the drunk nurses. I told you about the drunk nurses.
Took them all on. Oh, you ain't lost it, have you, Mark?
You told me about this one. I told you about it.
No. You took on some drunk nurses.
6.
Took them on. Well, they were rowdy or feisty or something.
I was.
They causing trouble.
Yeah, but like big time trouble.
Right.
So there's like meant to be a quiet time from 10 till 6 on the campsite, 10 at night.
Yeah.
No one adheres to it because most people are doing that.
Not even you.
I do.
Join in with the singing.
Everybody else is doing sort of drug deals or like a load of second-hand cars. There's always breakdown trucks arriving about 1 in the morning and
where the hell are you? I mean, don't tell anyone. But are you? Is this?
You can come and visit me. We'll do the next one.
Okay, we'll
do
do
the next
it
one from my tent.
live. Okay, we'll do it in a.
With my Robin.
I don't think I want to. I'm not bringing all my equipment. It costs thousands.
Anyway, it was really noisy. And when I've camped before and you're hearing noise at midnight and you go, this isn't stopping. Do you know what I mean? You just know these people are here for the long run.
Like a good storm. This is set in.
Yeah. And they're not going to stop because they're going to go, oh, it's gone midnight.
Yeah.
So anyway.
There's other people here. Yeah, let's be
considerate. Yeah. We're nurses. I mean, I started applauding them, but that didn't help.
Or female nurses or mixed.
Female.
Okay, just for, just painting a picture here.
So at about 1 o'clock, I heard a woman's voice say, like in quite a despairing tone, can you just not be quiet? Please, please be quiet. Like, you're upsetting my kids. You're ruining my weekend away. Right. Just sort of pleading with them. And I just said, like, fuck off, which I thought was like rude.
Oh,
the nurses. I didn't know they were nurses at this time.
Right.
So it went on a bit longer, and I'm lying there thinking, just keep your head down. Don't get involved.
Nothing to do with you, Mark.
Don't get involved. Not my circus.
Not my nurses.
Not my nurses.
Not my hospital. Not my nurses. Right? Yeah. Okay.
And so anyways, I got out of bed. I only had my shorts on. Strode.
What do you mean only have your shorts on? You only ever have your shorts on, Mark.
No, but I've got another funny camping story when I was naked and someone jumped on my tent and broke it and I rushed out.
What? Start bollock.
Right? Start bollock.
Yeah.
And apprehended this like 14-year-old lad.
Oh, God.
That's what I told the cause anyway. But anyway, rewind. So walked out to where the noise was, and literally it must have been probably about 150 meters from my tent. It was, and you could hear everything they were saying.
Yeah.
So as I walked towards them, and I'm going, I'm just going to tell them to shut up. I'm just going to go
politely.
No, like
you've gone past that now, have you?
So I then walk past the campsite owner who's on his phone.
Yeah.
Phoning, is it 111 or 101? 111, the police. Yeah, he wasn't getting first aid advice.
I was going to say.
I've got a headache from some loud nurses.
What do you recommend? Shall I apprehend them or just take some paracetamol?
Yeah, I'll ask them for a prescription.
Yeah.
You can give me a headache and cure it in one fatal go. So I passed him and he didn't sort of see me. And then as I gone about 10 metres past him, he went, you didn't see me, did you? And I went, I saw you, but you're on your phone. So I walked back to him. He said, I'm trying to ring 111 to say, like, this is getting out of control. But he said, they're not going to send anyone round. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've got 6 nurses camping in a field. Drunk on site.
Oh, right.
And it's like, they're not going to send the police round. Yeah. So I just strode past him. I went, I'll deal with it. So I just strode past in my shorts. And I went,
did you have your top out?
Yeah, I was pumped.
Oh, Mark.
I thought
Had you been working out?
I just thought I'd melt them. Feel like putty in my hands.
Yeah.
And I just walked like quite close to them, and it was like there was drugs, there was drink.
What kind of drugs?
I don't know.
What kind of, come on.
They had a fire as well.
Drugs? Smell drugs? Could you see drugs?
Yes, you could see them smoking massive joints.
Right. So, thank you.
I just stood there and I went, you fuckers have got 10 minutes. You leave here or else you're really going to fucking regret it. And I thought,
Mark,
I'm going to have to...
That's strong.
What am I going to do? Like,
nothing.
Can
You're not
can you keep
exactly
the noise
what
down?
What are you going to do? Give them 10 minutes, they're all still there.
They've got
what
no
are you gonna
right.
do,
They've
Mark?
upset this woman.
What are you going to do? Take them on. Hold on, is this the story? Is this right,
So anyway, one of them said, like, what's it to do with you? And I just came out with a typical Michael Caine. I went, no, they said like something like, who are you then? And I went, you don't want to know who I am. I'm there in the moonlight, the full moonlight, next to the lake, going, you don't want to know.
Normally people repeat the threat back, don't they? What are you going to do about it? What do you mean, what am I going to do about it? Question with a question is normally the best response, isn't it?
So anyway, we had a bit of a standoff, and I just thought, I'm just going to keep going hard, and, you know.
Have you got that crazy stare line?
Yeah, and I got to the point that the most drunk one, who was their spokesperson, the other started...
The ringleader.
the other started packing up.
Right.
And I went, you're just getting off the site now. I said, there's no explanation. You got 10 minutes, pack up. And they started taking the tents down. But this one...
Were you tensing yourself at this time? I can imagine your pecs just going bam, 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 like that. And they're all like, fucking hell, he means business. He's got his pecs out.
I was popping my beta blockers to keep myself alive. And so anyway, this one stood up to me, this one nurse, and she was like really vocal back and going blah, 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 and like arguing back. Yeah. And I went, I don't want to hear you. And she went, you don't even know my story. And I went, I don't want to know your story. Yeah, but if you knew my story, you wouldn't talk to me like that. And I thought, if it's coming to hard done by stories, I'll fucking knock you into a cocked hat.
Do you ever look back and go, what should I say? All right, this ain't story time. Or something like that. You've just done that.
You don't want to Jack and Ori.
You don't want to know who I am. Would have followed up well with this ain't story time.
Do you want to visit the bottom of the lake? And so I went, I don't want to know your story. And I felt like saying, if we're going to have a trade-off, I'm a 61-year-old man living in a £30 tent. I win. Do you know what I mean? At least you got a roof over your head. So anyway, they left. They packed up.
Right.
So that's why the manager of the campsite owes me one. Right. But as they went off, they drove to my tent, circled it, and just beat their horns for 15 minutes. And I still felt I'd won.
Were you lying there with your hands over your ears crying?
Yeah, I just put meditation tape on and said, I'm bigger than this.
You're just coming down off your beta blockers. Oh my God.
Everyone hates me, even the NHS. I clapped for you.
And this is the thanks I get.
So that's just one of the nights.
You're a hero.
But, yeah.
We're a work in progress, as Mark has just demonstrated. And this podcast is no exception. In short, it's spoken our perfectly imperfect lives. And if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this mess, then our work here is done. You can follow us on Instagram at imfinecast and search all of our episodes by category and tag at our website, imfinecast.com. And feel free to drop us an email at imfinecast@gmail.com. Please do give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. As we said last week, if you don't, you're just mean and miserable. And if this is the first time you've been with us, I mean, this is our kind of third one back, isn't it?
Yeah. Some people are listening.
Then welcome, and we'll do our best to...
give you not all the stories as good as this.
Wow. That's pretty good, actually. I haven't had a good old story from you in a while.
No.
So coming up in this episode, where we got some bookmarks in Work Life Ballet, we're going to look at finding your true north and authentic self. And in Brain Food, I wanted to pick up on one of the themes from last week, where we're talking about why we often choose short-term, often instant gratification, when we know it's not healthy for us in the long term. I just want to pick that up. And I found one little article about how short-termism is probably going to be the downfall of society, which I thought was quite interesting.
Can I bookmark that bookmark?
Oh my Christ, I don't know.
Because
It's a bit meta, isn't it?
Can I just mention, as long as I say it out loud, I remember it, bargain hunt.
Right, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to make notes in my bargain. Can't spell bargain, Mark.
It was just something that came up today, which
hunt.
we had a discussion very similar.
You're watching daytime TV again?
No.
You got TV in your tent?
I haven't got electricity on the whole site.
Right, just remembering an old episode.
I'll tell you what we
just
could
sit
do.
there regaling, kind of.
They're all the same.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'll tell you what I could do. I could read some of the reviews of my campsite.
Have you got some?
Yes.
You're going to have to dig those out.
Yeah.
Oh, no, do. Are they at hand? Don't tell me they're a screenshot.
No, they're on the site.
Okay, cool. No, we should look at that. So, should we get on?
Yeah,
let's go. Bookmarks. Washington State and Washington, D.C., Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I was in education for you last week, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So the District of Columbia has been separate from Maryland and Virginia for over 200 years. So District of Columbia is where Washington, that's the DC in Washington. I'm sure you knew that bit, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
The District of Columbia isn't a state, but it's sandwiched between Maryland and Virginia. There's another I'm Fine podcast. What?
Not for long.
Is it your? I thought it might have been your solo effort.
Don't keep the noise down.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's all mental health as well.
Yeah, it is. Well, there's kind of all these vets. I mean, they all kind of look big and hard, so I'm not going to take them on.
Yeah.
But they spell fine F.I.N.E.
Does it stand for something?
I don't know. I think they've just found ours and go, let's be different. And
it'll be
anyway.
F period, I period.
Yeah.
So I guess it's American.
Well, let them get on with it. It's a big world. Yeah. There's lots of things to talk about. We can't buy the words and trademark them, can we? Everyone can share, can't they? Mm. So
have you listened to it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not really. I won't go that far. I often miss things in our pods when I listen back to them. Mm. Normally you're kind of quips that I just talk over.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones.
There was a couple. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Nothing
I like that you missed them.
I can't separate the audio. I can't shut me up and let you kind of. I feel bad because some of them are absolute crackers. And you also over imbibing you got in last week.
Okay.
And I heard it at the time and thought, I don't know what he means. I never heard it.
Have you not?
So imbibe is drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Never knew that. Okay. To absorb or assimilate ideas or knowledge. Mm. So I guess it's ingestion, right? Yeah. Of ideas or booze, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. I like your vocab.
Good.
It's rich and colourful. China are struggling.
For people?
Yes.
Did you send it to me or did I see it?
I have no idea what I did about an hour ago, to be fair, Mark.
One of the things that I've been looking at is some stuff that's come out about fertility rates in America. And they're absolutely dive bombing. Mm. And you were thinking, we've talked about eugenics before. Yeah. You either have a massive war, well, that isn't going to make enough, is it? Unless it's nuclear, in which case that's the ultimate eugenics. Disease, which obviously has done a bit of a clear out, but not on a big scale. But if you actually make the world infertile, and I was looking at these figures in the States, and like the levels of testosterone and the levels of fertility is just plummeting to the point that, and I think this was the China thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not just that fertility's gone down.
No, it was
other reasons.
They've got laws in place to stop you having so many children.
Yeah, so they relaxed that from the one child, didn't they?
So after 4 decades of birth control, starting when the 12th Party Congress in 1982 enshrined family planning. As a basic state policy, China has finally woke up and realised that it may have gone too far and for too long when it comes to intervening in birth control. By every yardstick, China is walking into a textbook demographic crisis of failing birth rates, a shrinking labour force and ballooning numbers of pensioners. It's a U-turn in population policy that's come too late. Only 8 years ago, China's most famous film director, Yang Yimou, was fined 1.2 million US dollars for having 3 kids. Yet today local governments are scrambling to reward people for having more babies. Gangsha, the capital of Hunan province, has promised to give 10,000 yuan, which is about 1,390 US dollars in cash for the 3rd child in every couple. If the experience in Japan, South Korea and many other countries can offer a reference, China's efforts to increase its birth rate will be a long-term struggle. Once the country's population starts to decline, which is likely to happen in 2022, it will be extremely difficult to reverse the trend. What the clips I saw was talking about, they're going to have an aging population. They're not going to have enough people to go and work and make stuff. Yeah, and there's enough people. Yeah. So I can't remember the actual kind of the ratios, but I think we're at like 1.3 or 1.4. And they're like 1 or 1 point, it's really low, but it's too low. Yeah. And because they've been doing it for so long, you can't reverse that. But you think there's so many of them, but you think at that scale.
But it's maths. When I was looking at that, I was thinking it is maths. There's other things as well. There's other factors in terms of, especially things, and I'm not going to be contentious. This isn't me being so.
Go on.
No,
please. Good for ratings.
One of the things that I was listening to was saying that in the decline of most major, not necessarily dynasties, but sort of, empires have started to fall, quite often gender and sexuality has become much more of the thing. And this person was an expert on Roman history and was sort of saying the sort of fall of the Roman Empire coincided with the sort of I don't mean with the debauchery, I'm trying to use my words, but in terms that gender and sexuality became much more of a thing within society.
But why would that affect anything?
Well, what they're saying is that we've talked before about this thing about true freedom can't come without discipline.
Yeah.
And so,
or restraint.
Or restraint.
Yeah.
And so...
Okay, so having no structure, everyone just shagging everybody in sight, right? Indiscriminate sex and exploration of said thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Doesn't necessarily make you think it would make more babies, but you're saying it's not? Am I missing the point here?
Yeah, no, the point I'm making is that if you go back to the typical nuclear family as back in the days of a heterosexual couple who have 2.4 children, that always used to be
and everybody did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Then you have a constant, you have a norm.
So the exploration of sexuality, you're saying, is going against that, because if same sex are getting together, there's going to be no babies.
Yeah, I mean,
largely.
that doesn't same-sex couples obviously can have babies,
Yeah,
but I think what happens is that if
they have the luxury of being able to afford it, or being in a society where that is allowed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not just a given, is it?
Well, also that's going...
It's more likely to be a given if you've got nothing in the back of beyond, and you're a man and, biological man, biological woman, and you can have a baby, and then you raise it. Yeah. You raise it in a jungle if you wanted. It's my point.
The point I was making with the China model is that we used to have tax breaks if you were married, and you get child allowance in this country when you have children. Yeah. And in America, you get even more if you're married and money for children. And I think you get some help with your mortgage as well. If you're a traditional family.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, as the structures break, it isn't a comment on people identifying differently or having different sexualities, but the typical structure changes. So it's a more fluid situation within society, whereas, man, woman, 2.4 children, you could watch the graph and how it's going to go up.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So what you've now got is all these factors coming in. You've got a lowering of fertility, you've got a lowering of testosterone.
Yeah.
You've got an increase in same-sex couples who may or may not want children, but there is so many more options, is the point I'm making. So I think what's happening is that you've got less certainty about where you're going in terms of numbers. And when you were saying, I think South Korea is about the lowest, one of the most lowest of the sort of bigger countries in terms of... But I was looking at some for Britain, and they think we're close to peaking. It's the article I read said that our birth rate has continued to go for two reasons. One is because of immigration, new people come in, so the numbers of your population grow. Yeah. And often the people coming would traditionally, not stereotyping, but would traditionally might have larger families or bring children with them, which is something I guess China doesn't have the same immigration or the influx of people coming in from different cultures. But yeah, I think it is interesting in terms that we've always been told about the population crisis, and I'm seeing things now going, the best thing you can do to save the world and to save climate is not have kids. And it's
nuts.
It's nuts.
So we're talking about finding our true north. A lot of the references about finding your true north, which is kind of what it basically means, is finding your direction, finding your, as in true north, as in your navigational path. A lot of them, as we were just talking a minute ago, refers to kind of leadership techniques. Yeah. But I think we can kind of talk about this in relation to everyday life, not necessarily leadership and business. So the phrase discover your true north was coined by Harvard Business School professor and author Bill George in his best-selling book by the same name. While finding your true north meaning originated from the north point on a physical compass, Bill George explained that discovering your true north is about following your internal compass. This kind of also reminded me of my chat with Joe on one of our podcasts. I can't remember the episode 49, where we were talking about finding your center or finding your home or the place that, and that often isn't necessarily your direction. It's either the feeling you create or thinking of somewhere that is safe and nurturing, where you can kind of go to feel comfortable and feel less vulnerable, less exposed, so you can become a functioning human being. So just as a compass points at a fixed point in the globe, your personal true north pulls you forward. It guides you on your path to your destination and helps you stay on track to become the best person and the best team leader, in this case, as you can be. When you find your true north, you discover your authentic self, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's a combination of your purpose and your beliefs, and you decide what you value the most in life and put that at the forefront. We've kind of talked about it on pods before, where I think you were talking about how we don't plan our lives. I've got the 800 hours or 80 hours kind of stuck in my head. I can't remember what it was.
I think, wasn't it the percentage if we just
of
put
your lifetime, isn't
Yeah.
it? Kind of. So if your lifespan is 80,000 hours and you spend only 1% of that planning your life, that would be 800 hours. And do we really spend 800 hours planning our life? Or even 8, for that matter?
It's like a lot of hours, and we basically spend
Yeah.
a couple on the back of an envelope, don't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Just going back to that, though, the thing about values, that just reminded me that the only one therapist that has had any effect on me, we did an exercise about looking at values with complete honesty, and I found it quite interesting, is that the things that I felt I should value, as in people's expectations of me or society's expectations of me, didn't always come up as high. And I posted that thing.
What do you mean?
Well, I'll give you an example. That thing I posted on my Insta story the other day, like, don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
Yeah. It's nice.
Thank you.
You didn't write it?
No, stole
I
it.
love the way you take credit. Thank you. Thank you. I know how to take a screenshot of my phone and post it on Instagram.
I think I did put credit. So what I meant by that was that when I discussed in therapy about values, it was, so do you put in order how you value these things, and you go, I know what the correct answer is. Do you know what I mean? It's like
you're a nightmare
3,
on those
4, 1,
things.
2, I'll pass.
Next.
And it's like, but 3 wasn't top for me.
Yeah.
It was the one that I imagine.
You're only cheating yourself. Mark,
Yeah.
aren't you?
And so when I came out with it was a total honesty thing, was then I questioned, was I pursuing things because I think that was the right thing to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, my values on this are really, really
Wasn't
high.
that group therapy as well? Was that group therapy when you were going through that?
Yeah,
that
so
particular
it
exercise?
was-
So you're in a group of people you probably want to beat.
yeah.
So if you're on your own, how do you see that differently, or do you see that differently now? Because that was a while ago when you did that.
I think it's...
So do you think about your values and your belief
yeah,
systems a lot?
today, this True North thing has been, and as I said to you when I came in, I've taken it slightly differently to what your description you just gave. How I looked at it was on a daily basis. I want at the end of the day to have, and you were saying about the authentic self, I almost want at the end of the day to be able to look myself in the mirror and go, you've sort of done what you said you'd sort of do. And I don't, I don't do that, because what I do is I meander away from the stuff that I talk about. Yeah, I meditate every day. I meditate, but not properly.
Yeah.
Or I meditate.
Oh, that's the sort of.
Yeah.
You're close, but no cigar on a lot of things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And it's like, I'm a carnivore, but today I didn't have access to meat for a variety of reasons. And I ended up eating shit. But like, I'm not going to share that. It's like I'm a carnivore and it's doing all these things for me. So yeah, I think the authentic self is almost being able to look yourself in the mirror. It is around accountability and actually say, you weren't perfect today, but you stuck pretty well to your beliefs, your values, and your intentions.
Yeah.
And I want to do that on a daily basis. And what I'm finding is I don't do it on a daily basis. I look at myself at the end of the day and go, you fucked up a bit there. Or that was a bit. Yeah, you didn't need to shout at those nurses. Do you know what I mean? So I think
someone did. Today
really has made me think that what I want to do is to go, you weren't perfect today, but you were pretty good. And I don't think I feel that every day. I sometimes feel that I've failed.
I think it's good to get close, isn't it? I think we probably put too much pressure on ourselves to absolutely nail it every day.
Yeah.
And also, I think you said this, it might be in your bookmark when you came in, it depends how you measure and judge the success.
Yes.
That the measurement can be successful or not, depending on what you are setting as the bar, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you want to give your example that you gave when you came in? About having a successful day.
Yeah, it was about...
And the mindset around that.
Yeah.
So if you go, I've had a shit day because I haven't done any of the things I was going to do. Or it could be, I didn't set myself anything to do today, so it's just gone to waste. So I can't judge it. If I set myself a goal of having a wasteful day, I might have smashed that. Go me.
I think the example I gave you fell between the two, because I mentioned 3 things I'd done today that were things I wanted to do, and I was pleased I did them.
Yeah, but you still didn't feel like you had a good day, a successful day.
But they took an hour.
What, each?
No, for the 3.
That sounds awesome.
No, but
it was just like, right, I've done what do I do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and then it was like, well, if you've now got all those achieved quickly, therefore build on that success. Whereas I don't think it felt like a good day today, because although I ticked those boxes, there was just a great big void of sort of nothingness, just of wasted time. And so I don't feel it was a great day. Whereas I think if I'd said, right, you've achieved those 3, set yourself a couple of things for the afternoon and achieve them.
We do put ourselves under a lot of pressure to achieve and move on. I know I do.
Yeah.
And to kind of keep improving, keep iterating, refining. Do you know what I mean? Yet we may not think about to what end.
Yes.
Maybe this is we kind of already talked about some like short term. We talked about the China thing just a minute ago. That is short-termism.
Yeah.
In its finest. You haven't thought about what the consequences of reducing people's ability to have chilled offspring is going to create further down the line. They've got all the brains in the world there and they haven't done the maths.
Yeah. And it's not hard maths, is it?
No, they've just got, for whatever reason, policy, because policy often is, and we've talked about this before with COVID and all the things we used to talk about, short-termism destroys the thing that you're trying to make better.
Yeah.
You know, the fact we have 5 years, a 5-year term for our government.
Yeah.
What can you do in 5 years?
Yeah.
When you're talking about a civilization that's been around for thousands of years and will hopefully continue to be around for 1,000 years.
This was Joe Rogan's point.
Why isn't there, I'm sure we've talked about this before, why isn't there a committee, your common sense committee, go, let's plan the next 50 years.
Yes.
Regardless of the people that we have in for 5 years at a time or 10 years at a time, if they're kept in. So there is something, and then you're like, well, who votes them in? And I understand how that works. You know, we always got like a world police who are just kind of keeping everything going.
Yeah.
Which is probably happening anyway. You vote for the person you think is going to be in power.
Yeah.
It often feels like there's someone else in power, so maybe it's already happening. But
and British politics have just emphasised how temporary it all is anyway.
Buying your vote right here, right now, they get in, can't actually do that.
Yeah.
You know, I've just been thinking about how I got in after that. That's short-termism at its finest.
Going back to this Joe Rogan thing, he was speaking to somebody and they were quite contentious. They were having a lot of disagreements and they were talking though about president, and they were saying, like, what happens on the first day? You sort of go in and go, this is your office, sir. And now we're going to show you a few videos of how we didn't land on the moon, how Kennedy wasn't shot, and how Elvis is still alive.
What did happen at Roswell.
Yeah. And all the things you've mentioned that you're going to do, none of them are possible.
Yeah.
All the promises you've made.
Yeah.
I heard about...
You're not in charge here, pal. That one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you are.
It's like, I've heard, and I need to check this, but I'll say it anyway. I've heard that both Hillary Clinton and Obama in, I think, 2011 voted against same-sex marriage.
I think I've heard that too.
Which is obviously, it needed to happen at the time for whatever reason, politically.
Yeah.
But it's like...
If that might have been just to get in the vote, they might not have believed in it at all.
Yeah.
All their advisors going, say this, you're going to get them on side.
Yeah.
Right?
Or Johnson going, he's in favour of Brexit. I mean,
100%.
He didn't have any strong feelings, but...
We don't always think about what our beliefs are, what our belief systems are.
Yeah.
And I guess, again, like the food thing, we don't necessarily think, you know, what we do now, in the here and now, iteratively, is going to kind of manifest further down the line.
Yes.
It's that kind of ripple effect, isn't it? You know, you're a degree out here, you'll be 5 miles out down the road.
Yeah.
And I don't think we quite have the short-term values and kind of long-term goals kind of aligned. Do you know what I mean? And I think... because we might not have even thought about them in the first place, so then you've got nothing to align to. But I just want to go quickly through, this is in the context of being a business leader, but I think it still applies. There's 6 stages to this. So becoming an authentic leader, finding your true north helps you develop those positive qualities of a great leader. Among others, these qualities include transparency and authenticity. The relationship between leaders and team members is based on trust, just as the leader trusts their team to complete their jobs efficiently. Team members must believe they have an ethical leader. 2, increase your self-awareness. You begin to understand what really makes you tick as a person. Your mind becomes clear of that internal and external noise. Develop intrinsic motivation, doing something for yourself without an external reward. Authentic, doesn't it? If there's kind of, you're doing it for maybe good or the right reasons rather than...
There's a little bit like we used to say about giving to charity without having to tell everyone on Facebook you've given to charity.
Being intrinsically motivated will help you stay inspired and motivated because you truly care about what you're doing. 4, excel at what's important to you. Be good at what you do. That shows, doesn't it? You can be more trustworthy and
value's the word, isn't it?
Respected. Create a positive change. A lot of these things actually reading them about how others perceive you. When I first started thinking about true north, and being authentic, particularly, it shouldn't really matter what other people are thinking. But I guess this is it again as a caveat, is in the context of leadership. So if you're dealing with teams and other people, maybe that works outside of work environment too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your business. It's like you've probably got a list of aims and objectives and goals that aren't always just based around money. I'd
No.
imagine you have quite a high
Yeah, no,
sort of
100%.
moral conscience about
I
the
like
way you operate and the way you treat
I like to
people.
think so. Yeah, certainly where we treat people. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I kind of question, not the kind of things we're helping people to peddle, but it does make you think.
You buy pizza sometimes, don't you, for the people at work?
I
And you've got
do.
bean bags.
Well, my big lunch was buying the team lunch today. So,
Wow.
wow.
Were they allowed steak?
Everyone had, well, most people had steak. We went to a steak restaurant.
Okay.
That's what they serve there.
Yeah.
Shall I go on to authentic self?
That's the bit that
Because-
resonates with me.
Okay, so I'll start with a quote by Brené Brown. Do you know
Mhm,
Brené Brown? In order for connection to happen, we have to allow ourselves to be seen, really seen. Authenticity means having a keen awareness of who you are, which is just, this all kind of resonate with the stuff I just talked about, who you are and what you stand for, and expressing yourself honestly and consistently to the world. So authenticity means speaking your opinions honestly in a healthy way, making decisions that align with your values and beliefs, pursuing your passions, listening to the inner voice guiding you forward, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and open-hearted, and setting boundaries and walking away from toxic situations. Now we're getting into the guts of... But I think that can apply to work as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, if you don't have any of those things, you can't be authentic in any setting.
No.
Whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's work.
But do you feel the authentic...
Even performing in the arts, you've got to have those qualities, because you're not going to be credible or sellable or believable or investable in. You know?
Do you think the authentic self goes hand in hand with the sort of self-care?
100%.
And
I think this is personally what I think I am missing. The thing I'm struggling with is I've got nothing to grab onto. Direction is either lost or needs resetting or needs recalibrating, or you've achieved the things you wanted to do, or you find yourself in a different situation where your landscape is different. And I think that the true north thing is good, because I think you can be just looking around. You could do a full 360 and not know where the fuck you want to go or why you want to go anywhere at all. And that kind of often, if you don't have that can often just lead to despair and emptiness, and then you're kind of getting into self-identity and who you are and who you used to be and who you were and who and why you...
I mean, just very quickly, that's just reminding me of something. As I say, there's only one therapist that's had any sort of positive change in my life, and we had a discussion, and we've mentioned this before about, she was saying how I seek suffering, but it was still something to grab hold of. Because what you just described then, the emptiness, it's almost better to have the emotion of suffering than have no feeling at all in some ways, because at least you're alive, even if it's a negative feeling. And I can remember having a really emotional discussion with her once. I said, I'm treading water, like in every respect. I'm just keeping alive.
Yeah.
But I said, I can't tread water forever.
Yeah.
And
I'm getting tired.
Yeah. I said, there'll come a time when my arms will stop moving.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this as a sort of as a metaphor, I guess, for life. And I was saying, if I could see a coastline, then I'll start swimming.
Just something on the horizon. Just a shape.
But I said, I'm only going to tread water because whatever direction I go in, if I don't see a coastline, is as likely to be wrong as it is to be right.
Yeah.
So I'd rather stay here alone, treading water in the hope that something will come into my eye line, like a boat or a plane or something. But if I start swimming and it's towards the horizon, then I'm going to get tired quicker.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So it's it's almost like doing nothing was an option, because the other option could be making the wrong decision, and you're not going to last very long if you swim into the sharks.
There's such paralysis in that, isn't there?
Yeah. And I was saying to her, all I need to see is that coastline. All I need to have is that bit of hope, I guess. And then you can start the journey towards...
Yeah.
And I know it's getting a bit flowery now, but you know what I mean?
No, I think that's a really good one, because I think there is a distance thing there. And we're kind of talking about finding your center, as we talked about with Joe, finding your directions. Those are very different things. The direction, I guess your true north, it could be fucking miles away.
Yeah.
You can't see it. This is how I picture it. You can't see it like your coastline, but you know it's roughly in that direction.
Yeah.
And I think when I'm talking to the people, the clients that I work for, that is actually quite important. It doesn't matter if you've got a rough idea. You don't need to write it down. You don't need to draw it. You don't need to be so descriptive about what it is you're trying to achieve, because you might not know what that is. But if broadly this way
is the right way to swim.
and start, and then things might just come into view.
Yeah.
So I think it is a really good analogy. But I think you can be lost somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might not be solid in yourself and not have a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good place to be at all. You could be solid in yourself and have no direction. Or you could be not solid in yourself and have direction. Is that three things?
Yeah.
My view is that what we have to focus on first is a self. There's no point worrying about the coastline or the direction if you're not got your shit together.
Yeah.
You understand what it is that moves you.
Yeah.
And I'll put this link up on our notes. But the first part of the 7 strategies here for finding your authentic self. The first one is take personal inventory. Asking yourself some direct questions can help you discover who you are when you're not putting on your mask or betraying your core values. When you get clear on your values, you will find it easier to make decisions in line with your authentic self. For example, which type of people, activities or situations make you feel most alive? Are there people or parts of your life that makes you feel unhappy, angry or toxic? To take it a step further, in situations that feel wrong to you, what's really going on? So if you write down who you're with, what emotions come up, what these experiences cost you emotionally or physically, and then in the situations where you feel authentic, what's going on? You also write them down. Who you're with, what activities are involved, and what positive emotions or outcomes of these experiences. So there's a practical thing you can do.
Yeah.
Which I actually think is pretty helpful. I'm actually going to try it. So just from doing this activity alone, you may already get a sense of what needs to change. So I don't think we often think about those things. It might not just be who you're with, it might be your environment. But what I think is the case is we don't actually ever kind of write them down. We may think about them a lot, they may taunt us, but we don't write them down and really spend that time to think about where the joy is or where the nourishment is.
I've just made a decision fairly recently that is a rational decision on an emotional subject.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never how I've worked in the past. I've always just dealt emotionally with anything. So I've always dealt with feelings. So if I want to feed my addiction, I'll feed my addiction. So it's an emotional response. If I did a logical response and go, feeding that addiction is going to, not be a positive situation. I don't know if this ties in exactly what you're saying. I've stopped going to the track, as you know. And the reason I've stopped going to the track is that I had an altercation with somebody and it made me sad rather than angry. Mm-hmm. I've sat back and said to myself, you love sprinting, you love the track. So that's on one side. Mm-hmm.
This is you writing them down, these things down, the things that you like, right?
In the middle, the sort of middle of the scales was the fact that although I had some sense of community, I didn't feel particularly attached to that community except for the hour I was with them. Yeah. So they were important for that hour.
After that, not.
After that, not. Mm-hmm. My life wouldn't be ruined if I didn't see those people again.
Yeah.
And then on the negative, I basically worked it out that if I felt uncomfortable being at the track because of this altercation, I would feel uncomfortable driving to the track. Mm-hmm. I would think about the track beforehand and get worried.
Yeah.
I'd have to spend the whole time either avoiding this person or having to act in a way that wasn't necessarily natural, and also probably hide it from the rest of the group because they don't know we've had the altercation and it would upset the balance of the group. I would then drive home, and if I was in a bad place, that would bring me further down.
Yeah, sure.
With my living accommodation at the moment, you don't want to be going back after having...
And finding you have no living accommodation and it's up a tree.
And you're sad.
So what do you think? My mind goes, we'll go and find another track.
Yeah.
Why destroy the thing that is authentic to you, which is your running?
Yeah. And because I don't go to the track, some people have said, oh, you've let her win, or you've let that disagreement be more important than the track, or are you, exactly as you said, you're going to go somewhere else. And it's interesting, whether I keep doing the shot or whatever, was that in my head, it's almost that passage of my life has finished. Mm-hmm. So maybe get the excitement by trying something new and finding a new community and a new location. So that was a real rational decision based on, if I continue to go to the track up to 3 times a week, I'm going to have anxiety, nervousness, worry, deceit, whatever it happens. And that isn't worth running up and down a piece of athletics track.
But it's also not worth stopping you doing that at all anywhere else.
No,
unless you've also kind of caused you to analyse what it is that you actually like doing. Do you like running as much as you do?
I think
you talked about not winning at it, so that's probably not going to make you very happy either. So.
Yeah, I think maybe the irrational part of this is that I almost feel if I then go and join another club, there's the whole... It almost makes it more awkward because when I then turn up and other people from my club are racing against me or competing, it's going to be... I don't want to say, well, I've left the club. I'm just saying I've fallen out of love with sprinting. So I guess it isn't totally rational, and maybe that's a bit of an emotional response, but it's easier for me to go... I'm not sprinting anymore, that's why I'm not there. And people can then accept that. But the caveat to all this, or the postscript to all this, is that the main coach, after about 4 weeks of me not going, sent me a text. And after 4 weeks I was going, I made the right decision because no fucker cares. Because no one's asked me how I am.
Yeah.
So it's like...
It's not much community, is it?
Yeah. And he sent a really nice text.
Even though I don't...
Even though I wouldn't...
I don't partake outside of the track.
Yeah. And I wouldn't... If they didn't turn up, I wouldn't ask them how they were.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I know I'm a hypocrite. And of course, I didn't reply for 3 weeks to his...
Yeah, of course you didn't.
His text. But this was one of the things about the authentic self, is that I said to myself today, knowing I was going to come on here, reply to him. He's done the right thing, and it's a caring thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't reply for 3 weeks, he's going to go, well, good riddance to him, ignorant sod.
So you replied?
So I replied.
Well done.
And
And you just replied back with, who's this?
And I just sort of said to him, like, I'm not coming to the track at the moment, and I'm not sprinting at the moment. You know, I'm not injured, but you know, things might change. But I really appreciate you for. Yeah. And he said, you know, you're welcome here any time, and if things get bad, give me a call. And so that feels quite complete now. But I think that was what I'm saying about authentic self in how I read this, is that I wouldn't be being true to myself if 3 times a week I was having to put on a mask.
And
pretend everything was all right.
Yeah. Would you say that you were being present doing that?
Yeah.
As a link here.
Yes, if that's your next one.
It is. It's about being present, the ability to be present with yourself. I think this is relevant.
Yeah.
No matter what is going on around you is essential to authenticity. If you're always distracted by your mental chatter or reacting to external situations, you're not aware of your own state of being. Classic one, practice taking a pause to breathe and check in with yourself regularly throughout the day. I love all this stuff, but I find it really hard to do.
Yeah.
This will strengthen your mindfulness and help you notice when you are being inauthentic. With awareness, you will find opportunities to express yourself more fully and take actions that feel more in line with the real you. I kind of see that as kind of checking in with yourself. You kind of go, okay, right now, what do I need? What do I want? And kind of listen to I don't think we listen to ourselves. I think we listen to the head, don't we?
Yeah.
What are you going to say? Sorry?
I just, this new watch that I've got that's been going on about will say things like, stop what you're doing and have a break, or you need to move, or have a stretch. And it's...
God, what a nag.
But it then says, well done when you've done it. And it's like, I knew I needed to move.
I said that sounds like my brain, apart from the well done.
Yeah.
Well, I ignore it, and then if I do something, it doesn't thank me for it.
But if the watch takes that role, I'm going to do it to almost train myself to beat the watch.
Yeah.
You know, if I've been static, if I've been sat down or whatever and not moved, it's like before I'm told to do it, I'll do it.
Beat you.
Yeah.
Talk about community. Build your social support system. This means intentionally giving your time and attention to people who not only are true to themselves, but also support you in your journey. This is really important. So I've been talking to people recently about being held. You share you share stuff, personal stuff.
Physically?
Hard stuff.
Do you mean?
It could be. I wasn't talking about a cuddle.
Okay.
Do you want a cuddle, Mark? Come on, I'm just picking up signs you might want a little
cuddle. We've got 2
cuddle.
Apple Macs between us.
Never stopped us before. Being held emotionally, not physically.
Okay,
so,
explain I don't understand.
So you go to me, how you doing, Damo? And I go, well, I'm having a tough day, Mark. There's this and that, and I'm stressed about that. And you don't go, oh, well, should we, get on with the pod or whatever?
Yeah.
Or we just go, well, it'll be all right. I'm sure it'll be fine. You'll be fine tomorrow. Just sleep on it.
Yeah. Turn that phone upside down.
Yeah. Or some people don't listen, or you see them switching off, or they, looking over your shoulder, or they pick the phone up, or they say something. You go, "Are you even fucking listening to me?" I don't necessarily want answers. I just want people to go, "Yeah, okay, I'm hearing you." That's what I think is being held. Maybe not non-judgmental.
Yeah,
Do you know
I
what I
get
mean?
that.
Soothing. You
I
feel you can share anything without feeling empty and lost when you've kind of given it to somebody. I always think of it like a vase. You're handing a priceless, very fragile, delicate vase to someone. And you go, they are, hold my, and they just fucking drop it straight in front of you. You're like, brilliant, thank you. Now I feel brilliant. Take inventory of your social circle from time to time and surround yourself with supportive people who uplift you. They can encourage you to shine as your true self. I think people so we talked about earlier on, people putting themselves under pressure about what other people think. And I think some people think we need to surround ourselves with more people rather than less of the right people, or even no one, because you can't find anyone that holds you. Take daily action towards authenticity. It can feel like a big abstract concept, but when you really look at it, it comes down to your day-to-day actions, because it's those seemingly small moments, the things you say, your decisions, your actions, that add up to who you really are. Is that you?
Wouldn't have thought so.
What's that, Mark? You got a message?
No, I'll ignore that until the new year.
Number 6 was take a step back to gain perspective. When you find yourself in a rut, it makes sense to apply all your brain power to come up with a solution. But sometimes that approach can get you nowhere and just lead to a cycle of overthinking. I don't know what they mean. I have no idea what they mean about that. What, getting yourself all twisted up in knots? No, I don't know what they mean. You might need to take some time off. I really don't know what they mean. Take a day or a week to do something fun. Taking a break helps you listen to your heart and your gut. I'm finding that really difficult at the moment. The idea of time off terrifies me.
This has been a constant theme with you, though. When we talked about work-life balance, you were going like, I've got work, why do I need life?
Work is life, Mark. And the last one is recognise internal versus external influences. So when you want to know how to be your authentic self, it helps to differentiate your internal motivations and external influences. Does that make sense? So internal motivators are those drives and desires that come from deep within. And I'm talking about heart dreams that push you to become a better person. Your external ones refer to decisions you make based on external factors like money, status, recognition, or expectations from others.
Yeah, it does. And I was just going to interject on the one you said, number 5, about planning. Over the last 102 pods, we've come up with a whole number of things that we don't probably still do ourselves, like plan our days and set goals and targets and drink enough and take our supplements and all these other things we don't do. But I've just been thinking so much about this. I read the stuff you sent down, and what I've decided for tomorrow, and I can only really plan for tomorrow in some respects, is if you ask me tomorrow how my day's been, I'm going to have an idea of what I'm going to achieve tomorrow. And if I achieve those, unless something goes horrendously wrong, then I'll be able to look you in the eye and go, yeah, it's been a good day. Yeah. Because these were the factors that, if I carried them out, I believe would result in a good day. Now, you can't stop something bad happening and falling over and breaking your leg, or, someone nicking your tent. But I've already started doing this because I had a long drive up today, as you know, and I was sitting in the car and thinking, tomorrow I'm going to ring my sister, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do some hill sprints, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I listed all the things I'm going to do. And if I achieve all of those, and they're very achievable, I feel it'll be a good day. And at the moment I can't measure a good day because I don't know what a good day looks like. Yeah. But if I know in advance, if I know when I wake up that that's the skeleton of a good day, then at least I can go, well, you said at 6 o'clock this morning this was a good day. You've achieved it all. Yeah.
Can I leave you with a quote for this section from Neil Pasricha, author of You Are Awesome. I've not read it. Have you?
No.
When you're authentic, you end up following your heart, and you put yourself in places and situations and in conversations that you love and that you enjoy. You meet people that you like talking to. You go places you've dreamt about, and you end up following your heart and feeling very fulfilled. So brain food, Mark. We touched on short-termism a minute ago, didn't we? You want to talk about bargain hunt? Get that out of the way.
I had a discussion with a client today. I don't know if she listens to the pod. It'll be anonymous.
Just trying to work out whether you can say it or not.
No.
I actually thought, are you thinking about if someone's listening to this and whether you can spill the beans?
I was just trying. Well, I'm not even going to say her name. No, it was a very positive thing. It wasn't negative at all. There's a number of people who I talk to about carnivore, and some people have taken it on with a sort of evangelical commitment. Yeah. And we'll talk about this at some stage, I think, and some of the gains that people have made. One person in particular has just smashed it out of the park. And I think it's interesting to have success stories for when people go, yeah, well, you're bound to say that because you're following it. And then I can go, well, this person hasn't got an agenda. This person has just listened, done the research, and you know. So this other client who I'm talking to, I trained today, took the same approach. I think it's like, I've listened to you, Mark, but I'm going to go away. Can you give me some podcasts to listen to? Can you give me some doctors to listen to? Can you give me? And why this is really important is that I said, how was your week? And she said, oh, I'm back on track now, but I fucked up basically.
What did they eat? They had a vegan chicken wrap, didn't they?
I think she went for a curry and said, I didn't have rice. She had a bone marrow curry, which sounds lovely.
That sounds delicious. So she's trying to stick to the carnivore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And has been sticking to it very well. Right. But I think got pissed. Oh. And it threw her defences. Okay. So I think what happened was that...
She felt shit afterwards.
Felt shit afterwards. And the older you get, the longer you feel shit for.
Yeah.
I think because she had been on a strictest diet, maybe the effect of the alcohol could have been more in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's like quite a contrast to what she'd been eating. Yeah. But she basically said, but I'm back on it now, and then explained, and she was totally back on it. And I said, that's such a positive thing. Yeah, I said, like, in the past, that would have been the catalyst for disaster.
Bit of wallowing.
Yeah, and like, I need to eat crisps and chocolate now because I'm pissed and I've got a hangover.
I can't start next week.
Yeah. So I think that was a really positive thing. But the point I was trying to...
No, she's gone straight back to that because she know how, she was angry with herself. Because I'm sure we talked about this the other week. When you're feeling so good about something, you ruin it momentarily. Yes, you're so fucking angry with yourself, and you don't get the wallow. You go, I've got to go back to that. Yeah, it's just imperative. It's just not any other reason, but But maybe that's a nice crossover with being authentic. Yeah, you're authentic yourself. Going, I can't do that to myself anymore.
Yeah. And she was saying about...
No excuses.
She was saying also about her time, that she suddenly realised it wasn't just her food, it was just the way she was spending time, and her view of herself had also gone downhill. It's like, I got pissed, I'm wallowing, and I don't feel that good. Yeah. When I was carnivore, and I felt good, I didn't wallow, so I didn't... And we were talking about daytime TV, and when I was at my probably lowest mentally, I would sit for hours and watch Jeremy Kyle, Bargain Hunt, Homes Under the Hammer, which is just sort of... brain-sapping mediocrity. Yeah. And I said to her, the interesting thing when I mentioned Bargain Hunt is that I said, I've discovered that my approach to things like TikTok and back in the day, I mean, obviously I haven't got a telly and I don't really enjoy watching telly now, but was that it's so similar to my addictions. And what I said to her, was when I was watching Bargain Hunt, I would hate myself for doing it, but I couldn't stop myself from doing it. Yeah. And the minute it finished, I wished I could go back in time and not watch it. Not watch it, yeah. And that's addiction. Yeah. So addiction is, I don't want to be spending all my money in the bookies, but I'm loving it too much to leave. And the moment I left the door of the bookies and went out into the real world is, please take me back to 9 o'clock this morning and I won't do it again. Yeah. But you do, because it's addiction. Yeah. And I felt there's a lot of that going around with people, and it isn't addiction now. It's just keep having a takeaway, just keep watching shit TV, just keep eating this, just keep eating that. You feel bad at the time, you feel bad after it, but you continually do it. And I think addiction is just seen as, gambling, drugs, alcohol. But I think lifestyles now are becoming addictive. I think fast food and processed food. When you're doing it, you don't want to do it. No. And when it finishes, you don't feel better after that pizza. No. And
it's not always about, as I said at the beginning, it's not all about instant gratification, or sometimes it's just about punishing, and sometimes it doesn't actually make you feel any better. We're punishing ourselves. Yeah. And it's really hard to understand. When you're doing it, it's really hard if you're able, if you have the self-awareness to go, I'm punishing myself. Yeah. Because some people don't even know. Yeah. We've done enough work, inverted commas, to know what we're doing, sometimes why we're doing it, and we also know the mechanisms and tools to stop us doing it. Yeah. But that doesn't always mean we won't, which I don't know whether you find just bonkers. I don't get it. No. You're standing outside of yourself going, where that's going to take you. Yeah. Why are you doing it?
And also, you're an intelligent person. It's 12:30 in the afternoon, and you're watching absolute shit. Yeah. And it's literally, if you could move the room and leave the room, just have a quick word with yourself. Why on earth are you doing this? There's all the things in the world you could do.
Yeah, you want yourself to knock on the door.
Yeah.
And ask you out to go play outside.
And the interesting thing, and I didn't say this to her, but this is something that came up when I used to do it. If someone knocked on the door, I just thought, oh, fuck, imagine they've seen I'm watching Bargain Hunt. So you already know how inane it is, the activity you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you thought if someone else sees you, you're going to have to, I don't normally watch this.
Yeah.
It was
Put some porn on quick. That's embarrassing. Yeah.
But it's we don't take ourselves out and just have a word, do we? We just continue until it finishes and then go, why did I do that? But we've known for the whole 45 minutes it's on. Yeah. Why do we do this?
Yeah.
It is a strange punishment, you're right.
I found very quickly, I found something about short-termism and how it's likely to kind of kill us all in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a bit of a leap, but I think it's relevant. A couple of things. Modern society is suffering from temporal exhaustion, and this is from sociologist Elise Balding. She said, if one is mentally out of breath all the time from dealing with the present, there is no energy left for imagining the future.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, she wrote that in 1978. That's why researchers, artists, technologists and philosophers are converging on the idea that short-termism may be the greatest threat our species is facing this century. They include philosophers arguing the moral case for prioritising our distant descendants, researchers mapping out the long-term path of Homo sapiens, artists creating cultural works that wrestle with time, legacy and the sublime, and Silicon Valley engineers building a giant clock that will tick for 10,000 years. What these thinkers from a myriad of fields share is a simple idea that the longevity of civilization depends on us extending our frame of reference in time. Considering the world and our descendants, I guess the next generations, through a much longer lens. What if we could be altruistic enough to care about people we might never live to see? And if so, what will it take to break out of our short-termist ways? So as human beings haven't always had the ability to think in an abstract way about long-term time. Today we can totally live in the moment, absorbed by music, for instance, or we can mentally time travel to imagine some scenarios in the past or future. We have that ability as humans, don't we? I think is the point of this. We have such kind of breadth of imagination, and we've been given that.
But we're losing it, maybe. I saw a quote recently that I really liked, and I'm just changing it one word slightly to make it personal to me. The best time for me to plant a tree was 61 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I love that because it's that bit about if I planted a tree 61 years ago, that would then be benefiting everybody for 61 years, and it will benefit my children and my children's children in terms of what it brings to nature.
Yeah.
But you haven't missed that opportunity. If I still plant a tree now, I'm never going to see it to fruition.
Despite our mental faculty to look ahead and plan ahead, we have a weakness in our thinking called present bias, which favours short-term payoffs over long-term rewards. For example, I'm sure we talked about this before, people are more likely to accept an offer of £10 today rather than a guarantee of 12 quid in a week. To smoke cigarettes despite a shortened life, to spend on pleasures and not save for rainy days. But some psychologists have used the metaphor of a horse and rider. You heard this?
No.
To describe this tension between our rationality and urges. The rider knows it's smart to think longer term, but the horse has its own ideas. If we're prone to neglecting the well-being of our own future selves, it's even harder to muster empathy for our descendants. Guess what I got for you, Mark? Your favourite part of the podcast show.
You know when I show this disdain?
Yeah, it's real, isn't it?
It's not like the
Is
two
that authentic?
Yes.
Is it your authentic self?
I just cringe.
Do
it's
you?
Just...
Oh, is your
I'll
toes
tell you for
curling?
why. I'll tell you for why. In your lifetime, well, in your adult lifetime, have you ever known anyone get chewing gum in their hair?
Yeah, I have. Look at my lovely long locks, Mark.
And you wish you'd known about the peanut butter then?
If you're chewing gum and you get some hair, like it goes in your mouth, and you start chewing, you just have to take the whole thing out. It gets stuck.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always got peanut butter on hand, so it's fine. What? Literally on my hand.
It's a bit. It's surprised Sainsbury's don't have them in the same aisle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And an ice cube.
Were they? An ice cube. What's that? What's that noise, Mark? It's time for water. You got any water left? Have you drunk it all?
I took one when you weren't.
Good. Everyone drink, please. Thank you. When are you thinking about your health? So one for the daters. If you think someone is giving you the wrong phone number, read it back to them incorrectly. If they correct you, it's more likely legit. That's a nice tip, isn't it, for all kind of people out there dating, isn't it? And courting, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Mark, you there?
Don't they? Don't they now? Don't you just give them your number and they send you a message so that you get their number?
I have no idea.
They don't ask.
How would I know this?
They don't
I'm not
ask
out
for numbers
courting, am I?
anymore. It's
Do they
not.
not?
It's not the 70s. No.
You've never asked for anyone's number in this or their landline.
Well,
You're
it
going to
might-
ring because the mum might answer.
Well, you could remember in those days. It could be like Bristol 451, wouldn't it? There was only
That's
about
so old.
there was only about 500 phones.
Yeah. Cool. When I look at these hacks, I research on the internet, right? Sometimes people tell me them, but this one is shite. Ready? I put it in because it's so awful. It says if you can't afford 2 of the thing that you want,
Yeah.
then you can't afford it. That is just absolute nonsense. I just wanted to put it in because it's absolute garbage.
Yeah. I guess it works with
So-
socks and gloves.
So this house, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't afford 2 of them.
No.
I can certainly afford one of them, so I had it.
Yeah.
It's a weird logic. I understand that if you kind of go and buy a really kind of high end car, you go in. Oh, we're going to buy a Porsche. It's 150 grand. Okay, you're cobbling all the pennies together from all the jars,
Yeah.
and you scramble that together. You can drive out the forecourt with your new Porsche.
But you might be
But-
steeped in poverty.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the point.
To look after it is going to cut. You need a garage. You're going to have to service it, and it's going to cost you a bundle in tyres and all that kind of shit. Bravo avocado. If avocado, you know,
How many are there? Is this
just there's 7. If you, do you know the little what's it called? The little stalk on the avocado, the little stubby
stalk?
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that is light, a lighter shade rather than a dark shade, then it's right to eat. If it's dark, it's not ready to eat. I didn't know that. That's a good one, isn't it?
Are they often in now anymore, the stalks?
Yeah. I always end up eating.
You know,
eating
Boston
them.
Tea Party has reduced. It doesn't do one of their dishes, which was avocado on something,
Right.
to save the world. So you now have mushed up
Yeah, they're
peas
good.
instead of
Idiots.
avocado at £9.
Yeah.
But I think the argument was to sort
Yeah,
of
it's more than the avocados.
yeah,
And less
And it's
to make 'cause it's peas. From the co-op next door.
but they still do avocado on one of the other dishes, and
Yeah.
I think it was because of this whole woke thing
Oh,
about
yeah.
avocados and the bees
should
and the
write.
transporting. It's
Yeah, do me a favour.
that was the Halloween thing. I was
What
going to do a
was?
story today on Instagram. I didn't do it. I was going to do people and then say, have a picture of a paper straw
Paper straw, yeah.
and then go, also people. Oh, look at all that Halloween plastic shit.
Have you seen the house opposite? Oh, you can't because it's dark. Honestly, the tat he's got outside that.
Yeah.
Absolute tat. Plastic and shit
It's
all over
all
the
plastic
house.
and fiberglass
Yes,
and one
it's gross.
single use.
You want to put a naked flame near it?
No.
It's all going up.
But
It's awful.
we're changing milk bottle tops to clear to save the plastic, and people are spending
100%.
hundreds of fucking tons of
100%.
Halloween shite.
Do you know when you've just baked your cookies at home?
Oh,
Mark?
I love home baked
I
cookies.
know you do. And you
My tent hasn't got a big kitchen though.
no, I know. But
gas.
that's what it needs in there just to hold it down so it doesn't blow away.
Yeah.
Do you know when you cooked your cookies
Yeah.
and they've and you've eaten a couple because that's what you do, isn't it? You're just
Yes.
I'm going to treat. I've been waiting all this time, and you're going to eat them nice and hot, and
Yeah.
warm, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to go kind of put some in some Tupperware.
Mm.
You like your Tupperware as well, don't you? For later in the week,
Yeah.
right? That problem you get when you open it a couple of days later and your cookies are hard and not soft.
Yeah.
If you were to put just a standard piece of white bread in the Tupperware with your cookies, it keeps them to like 1 day freshness, like softness. That's a good one, right?
Is it
just
like-
a piece of bread?
Is it like the little things of silica gel? Soaks up all the moisture? No.
You don't want it soaking in the moisture. You want the moisture in there, don't you? So
Maybe the bread sweats.
yeah, maybe. That's it for this episode. Do you want another one?
No. Seriously, I don't. I'm not even being ironic. It's just like
Oh no, I can see your face. It's contorting.
mind numbing.
Yeah, mine. Come on, that is strong. That is really strong.
Although,
Mind numbing.
oh,
Tell you what, mind numbing, Mark.
one of our listeners that we've referred
Your
to a lot
mind-numbing.
wants nickname change.
What, Russian spy?
Yeah, I think she thinks it might be.
Yeah, because you
fairly
totally
sensitive.
outed her last week. Well, I think she
Broke her cover.
Yeah, she said she was mentioned so much. She said, "I think I'm going to have to change my identity."
Yeah.
That's what spies do, isn't it? I mean,
Mm.
it's literally the job. Is that what she's saying? She's going to come. How do we know? That's what I'd say. That's it for this episode. Won't ever get in this part. And thanks for listening to us. Remember, you can follow us on all the socials. I'm Finecast. I'm Finecast@gmail. Blah 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 blah. And remember, Remember, we offered the free PT session last week.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone signs up for an Apple podcast review, no one did, Mark. So this time we're gonna, if you sign up for an Apple Podcast review, we're gonna be offering 2 PT sessions.
All I'm going to get
For you and a friend can train with Mark.
All I'm going to get is current clients coming along and getting 2 freebies.
Yeah. In the next episode, hopefully we're looking at Mark's bloods. And maybe that's a little bit too late for Halloween, because I don't want to really be sitting here I don't want your blood on this table, not looking at it, poking around with blood.
No, all the results
from your. Do you want to expound?
We did it nearly 18 months ago.
Oh, we both did it, didn't we?
Yeah, nearly 18 months ago. Yeah.
I should have done it as well and see how I got on now.
Yeah, but I did a fuller one this time.
Right.
So there weren't many comparisons because we didn't do many.
With the same company?
Same company.
Okay.
Yeah, no spoiler alerts, but I think there's 2 things that are interesting. Firstly, I'm going to sort of mention what the company did. So for every result, it told you where you were on the graph. It told you quite often where you were in relation to other people that asked for blood tests, which is quite an interesting.
Yeah.
And then underneath it went what you can do about it. So if it was high or low, if it was normal. So if it was, say, vitamin B12, where you get B12, the effect it has on your body. So it gave you an awful lot of information on each one that I found really interesting. So I think it might be good to share not just my bloods and the changes, positive or negative, from going carnivore, but just all the things, all the markers basically, and where you can find them. So I think it'll be a body special.
We'll be able to put a picture of your body on the internet. You haven't done that for a while.
No.
Oh, you did last night. That one you were in your
I was pretty
training.
well covered,
We should just advertise your Instagram and say you're getting your tats out. So
that was just for the bicep yesterday.
Yeah, it was good. So anything else to add, Mark?
No.
Right.
No.
We'll see you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.